Well, after a few years, Pat became foreman, doubled his pay to $2 a day. But he had that ring of chain, that chain of keys, you see, that made him a big man, and he'd walk through the yard, swinging that chain, and he was having fun with it, and because of his big windfall of money, sometimes we'd make him buy pop for us, and in the clubhouse, well, that was 10 cents a bottle. So I quit the ranch after 3 years. Pat stuck it out for an extra year, and then joined the Navy. And what? He says, that's where the real men go. Oh, yeah, okay. So Betty, Pat's older sister, was our party contact. You see, by this time we're 17 years old, and Pat's in the Navy. And Betty had met some people at the University of Minnesota, so she knew where these parties were. And so for that year or two, Betty was our party contact. And now and then we'd see Pat's other sisters, Celie, and the twins, Colleen and Kathy. And, whenever I was over there, I'd say hi to them, and we'd greet each other and everything. But they were pretty much busy with their friends and didn't want to spend much time with, one of Pat's friends. And so we would send letters to each other, Pat and I. He was in the Navy. And I can still remember the day you came out. I was selling shoes at Florsheim, and your sister Betty came running in. Steve, he's here. Well, I was selling a pair of Imperials to a customer, and I said, Pat's here, everybody. And so then Pat came in, and he was all decked out in his fine-looking Navy outfit, his big, wide smile. And I introduced him to everybody, including the customers. And then we all went out to lunch and had a good day. And boy, it was fun to see my old pal back again. Well, a year later, I went into the Army, and again, we wrote to each other. And when I had gotten out of the Army, Pat had gotten married to Janet, and Christine was born. And I can still see your beaming face the day that you brought Christine and Janet over to meet my mom and dad. Oh boy, Pat, you were just beaming, just so happy, so proud. And my folks were so proud of you. And of course, I was too. And you say, what? Pat goes, yeah, get it going, keep it going. Okay, yes, I'm trying to, okay, quit interrupting me. So one thing, among others, that Pat really excelled in was knowing cars. Pat knew cars and trucks so well that when my dad had a need for one of our cars breaking down, he needed to have it rebuilt. So Pat offered to do it. And he did such a beautiful job that my dad said, and this was before Pep Boys and Big O and all these automobile repair franchises. He said, I should open up a store to fix autos, and Pat Chesney is the guy that I would hire. What? He says, you should have listened to your dad. He was smarter than you. You're right, he was, and I should have more. Well, so anyhow, then once again, we went our separate ways, and you what? Pat says, I was happy to be rid of you. Oh yeah, sure. Well, anyhow, Pat got divorced. I got married, and then Pat remarried. And it's when Betty called me in, maybe late 80s. And she gave me Pat's phone number. Well, I called, and Pat was in Chattanooga. And boy, he was bragging on his wife Carolyn and on Christine. And of course, by this time, Chad had been born, and he was bragging on young Chad and about his job as a toxic. Let's see, Pat was always always driving 18-wheelers, but this was toxic waste. What do you say? Ish. What kind of word is ish? Toxic waste. He says ish again. Pat, that's such a girly term. Ish. Well, yes, it is a cancer-causing agent, and you were doing it to make a living, and so, but that's the way you were. You were diligent. You made a living. You kept your bills paid, and Pat, being an over-the-road 18-wheel driver, won. I think it was a national award for for 1 million miles of safety and without any road violations. That's 1 million miles, and I think that is really commendable. Well, So we talked a few more times, but lost contact. You know, Pat was in Chattanooga. I was raising my family in Apple Valley, Minnesota, and ironically, just about where the ranch had been. Well, Carolyn had died, and Pat went into a severe funk and went out west with his truck and camper and lived kind of as a hermit. By this time, I was living in Boise, Idaho. I was stopped at a stop sign outside of Boise and Meridian, and it was almost like an Alfred Hitchcock movie, you know, where he walks across the street in a cameo appearance, and there's Pat Chesney. Hey, Pat! Well, he turned around and without a blink, he said, "When did they let you out?" I said, "Come on. I'm at a park and let's go visit." So we went over to Albertson and had a bite, and I guess we hung out for about a year. Pat was still getting his head on straight after his dear wife had died, but he was coming around and we were having a good time, and I think maybe we were real good for each other during those days. Well, time went on again, and Pat and Karen, then he met his former high school sweetheart, Karen, and they ended up moving up to McGregor, Minnesota. And over the years, I visited them up in McGregor a couple of times and went fishing and swimming and had a good time with them. Well, last time I saw Pat, he and his sweetheart, Karen, had died of cancer, and he was parked in an RV across the Colorado River from Laughlin, Nevada. And so I went down and visited him, and we had a good time. We took a day trip up to Oatman, an old mining town not far from there. And I said, "Pat, let's do something funny here." Now, in this old farm, rustic, frontier type town, I said, "Pat, they're on 3 time zones here. We got Pacific, we've got Mountain, and then Arizona doesn't change into daylight saving time." So I said, "What?" Yeah, that was funny. That was funny. So yes, you were across the street, and I said, "Hey, Pat, what time is it?" You yelled back, "Yeah, it's 3 o'clock." Well, predictably, somebody next to us said, "No, it's 2 o'clock." Over here, somebody said, "No, it's 4 o'clock." And I said, "Pat, you said it's 3 o'clock." "No, it's 2 o'clock because here we're on Pacific time over here." Well, we got the whole street in an argument. And Pat, you say, "What?" You're such a troublemaker. Well, you can call me a troublemaker, but I can call you a troublemaker too, because we both had fun together pulling those types of pranks. Well, that's about it for now. Love you, buddy. And what do you say? Oh my, don't do it. No, come on. It's not being mushy. It's just being sentimental and letting our emotions flow because we had a good time. And you say, "What? You're so goofy." Pat, this is not being goofy. It's just it's showing my affection and showing. Listen, Pat, there's an old line about friendship that I want to share with you. Love is only chatter, but friends are what really matter. You say, "What?" He says, "Yeah, that's true." But I think you said it best during your days at the ranch when you said, "Friends may come and friends may go." What? No, I'm gonna say it. I think it's kind of funny. And friends may even peter out, you know. Yes, I'm gonna go through with it. But we'll be friends through thick and... What? He says, "Don't do it. We have people here. These are church-going people. Don't do it." Okay, Pat, fine. I'll respect your final wishes. So anyhow, buddy, I'll always have good memories of you, and so it's time for you to say goodbye. Pat says, "Catch you later. Bye." Oh, Pat, you have to be a little more formal. So when I say it's time to say goodbye, you have to be a little more formal. I'm saying it was a great time with our friendship. Happy birthday, by the way, tomorrow. And when I and a bunch of all these other people watching us today come knocking on heaven's door. We want you to be there to answer our call and then take us for a long horseback ride. How's that? You say what? He says, yeah, they'll make it, but you won't. I won't. Yeah, he says, you're too much of a troublemaker. No, I'm going to make it, and you be sure you open that gate for me and have a nice horse for me, okay? Because remember, I always got the best horse. So, time to say goodbye. He says, catch you later. Bye. Oh, Pat, make it a little more formal, not bye. You sound like a sheep. Can't you say goodbye? Thanks for being here. Try that again. He says, catch you later. Bye.
Quando sono solo sogno all'orizzonte mancano le parole. Sì, lo so che non c'è luce in una stanza quando manca il sole. Se non ci sei tu con me, su le finestre mostrar tutto il mio cuore che è acceso. Chiudi